Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us for Maze from the Bench virtual studio tour. My name is Sarah Songer, and I'm the program and studio manager at San Francisco Center for the Book. And today we're thrilled to have Andrew Huot as our guest. Andrew owns and operates Big River Bindery, formerly located in Atlanta, Georgia, and now located outside his hometown of Toronto. Andrew is a bookbinder, conservator, and book artist, and has an MFA in book arts and printmaking from the University of the Arts in Philadelphia, and an undergraduate degree in printmaking from Portland State University. He exhibits his artwork widely and is held in collections from the Art Institute of Chicago to Yale University. He was a conservator and preservation specialist at Illinois State University for the last 5 years and has worked at the Folger Shakespeare Library, the Historical Society of Pennsylvania, the Wagner Free Institute of Science, and the University of Oregon. He is a past president of the Guild of Bookworkers and a peer-reviewed professional associate of the American Institute of Conservation. With that, I'm going to spotlight you, Andrew, and it's all yours.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Sarah, and the San Francisco Center for the Book for doing these presentations. It's been great looking back through some of the past ones and remembering some of the ones that I've attended in the past. So it's great to see into people's work and their studios, which I find a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share. I have mostly slides so that you don't have to see me walk around my studio and get seasick. And there we go. Okay, so as Sarah said, I'm a book artist, bookbinder, conservator. I kind of wear a lot of hats. I'm excited to be with you here today. And this morning I was explaining to my son that I was going to be on Zoom and seeing all you people from across the US and Canada, but he wasn't very impressed, I have to say. So he was much more impressed with the fact that today is May the 4th, and wanted to show off all his Star Wars related Legos, just so you can all enjoy those and remember the important part of today. So I'm kind of a generalist, so I really split my time between being a book artist, a printer and printmaker, a book conservator, a bookbinder, and educator. Which doesn't leave a lot of time at night, but that's okay. I really enjoy kind of the variety of different things that I work with and that I work on. And so I just wanted to go through some of the different work that I do, just so you can see. So I started out as a book artist. I have an undergraduate degree in printmaking, and I did photography and printmaking. And so here's a number of projects that I've worked on that I'm really happy with. Like how it's going to go today. This one's called Chance Operation, so we'll see how it works today. But this is a piece that I did with linoleum blocks and using the roll of a die in order to determine kind of how the layout and the imagery of the book was going to come together. Every time I ran the paper through the press, I chose a different block and a different color using that die, kind of letting chance decide exactly how the book was going to look. And so there was lots of kind of unplanned kind of relationships, which I really love about this book. A lot of the work, I love this idea of kind of playing games or setting up systems for my work. This one's called Underlined Baedeker. While I was doing book conservation, I came across a book, which was a Baedeker's travel guide for Northern Germany. And the previous owner had underlined a variety of places and things. And I found it really fascinating what they picked and how they did it. So I digitally removed all the other text and made this book with just the underlined lines from that original book. And it didn't always make sense, and it didn't always kind of make a kind of a direct path, but I found it really fun finding this kind of unintentional poetry or pairing of words. A lot of my work is about kind of my life around me. I like to observe things that are happening or kind of comment on things that are going on in my head. At some point, my wife and I were looking to get a dog, and I didn't really have dogs, so I didn't know much about them. So I decided to make myself a guide to dogs to help me determine what kind of dog we needed. My only problem was that my only reference with dogs was really with popular media. And so I made this guide to dogs that explained from the dogs that I knew in my life, which mostly came from TV, cartoons, and movies. While I was in graduate school, both my wife and I were very busy and we didn't see each other very much. So we kind of ended up leaving notes for each other. And as a letterpress printer, you know, you love these kind of highly decorative, deeply inset embossed cards that you find in the stores. And so I decided to kind of combine those two. And I came up with this set of lead notes. It's a card deck that allows you to leave notes for your loved ones or your roommate that say please and thank you, but hopefully are a little bit funny. And so I tried to get some of the most common things that we might say to each other. A lot of my work is concerned with kind of my place and kind of where I'm living and what's going on around me. I made this set called Directions. It's a set of books that include specific directions to places. And I love explaining directions using kind of landmarks along the way. At the time I was living in Philadelphia, and I really was interested in kind of what was going on the street. So I made this set of directions using ephemeral landmarks. So things that I saw along the journey. And so it might be a taxi that's driving by, it might be a crying child, or it might be things that I see that probably wouldn't be there. My hope is that someone tries to use these to navigate across their city and find maybe some of the same things. I got to live in Thailand for a while, and I really was fascinated with kind of the scenes and the scenery going on. I lived outside of Bangkok, and so I used to take this 515 bus across town to get downtown to do other things in the city. And Bangkok has notoriously bad traffic. And so you never knew kind of how long or how many stops you'd have to make along the way. So I photographed all the stops that the bus made, either through traffic or through bus stops, and included it on this long accordion that travels the journey from our suburban home to the center of Bangkok. Now, a somewhat shorter journey was this book called Monday Morning. I was often walking the dog in the morning and got to see kind of the common trash can that we had in our suburban city in Illinois, and became fascinated at kind of the background and what was going on behind it. And so in this book, I kind of capture all those and keep that common landmark in the middle of the photograph, and let you see kind of what else is going on around and behind it. This is a journey that I made as I was moving from Portland, Oregon to Philadelphia. And I was quite shocked to find out that there was very little grass, green, or trees in the city itself. And so it chronicles kind of my mental journey from this lush green Oregon to the kind of city-bound Philadelphia. And then I do the journey on the back as well, kind of using graphics of trees and buildings, and then the maps of the two cities. This is called Exits West. This was a car drive across the country. And I made kind of observations at the end of every day. And then each of these lists are all the exit signs that we passed along the way. I was surprised to see that many exit signs became repeated or were common. And so you get to see exactly where you might stop or where you might be able to get off the journey as you go through the book. This one is called Move in October, and I tracked my movements as I was moving from one home to another. And so through the month of October, as I was transitioning from one home to the other, every journey that I made, every page is a set of journeys. So I had some kind of some short jumps and short trips along the way on the left, and then a kind of a major moving day where I went back and forth between the two locations. This is a book called Navigation. So I was looking for places to go and new jobs to move on to. And I was really following jobs, not necessarily a specific city. About the same time, I found out that there were many cities by the same name across the US. And so of all the cities that I was applying jobs for or looking to move to, I tracked and plotted all the locations of the US by the same name. This is a kind of a variation of a tunnel book where it has a white layer behind it and then the holes in that blue layer in front. And it spans it to about 8 feet long when you open it all up. I was moving from Iowa to Georgia and getting ready to move my shop. And as I was trying to figure out where I might move my shop to, I started looking around at the different kind of city names, and some of them were familiar. And so this book, as you go through the book, one end, you start with cities of Iowa, and it goes through and lists all of them. And then when you get to the end of the book, you can turn it upside down, and there are also the cities in Georgia as well. Another book where I track my movements. This one's called Walks with Rosie. It was in our Philadelphia neighborhood. And so over a span of 2 weeks, I tracked my movements as I walked with Rosie morning and night. And I tracked the plot on the city, as well as having colored dots for all the locations and all the times that Rosie, our dog, met other people and dogs and had encounters. So I also do flat work as well when I can. So I do letterpress printing, relief printing. I have a background in printmaking. Here's a print that I did for an exhibit in Iowa. It was called Star-Crossed Lovers, and so it was based on Romeo and Juliet. And so I plotted the emotional events of Romeo and Juliet through the span of the book. When I started this, I didn't really remember enough about Romeo and Juliet, so I had to go back and figured out that it was really only 5 days through the span of the story. And so you can see how people's emotions are going up and down, and then significant events are listed on the bottom for the two of them. This is a print that I did that kind of tracks some of the movements and some of my daily journeys, the different ways I would get from and to work every day. This is a print I did called Sleep, Drink, Eat, and Work. And so for this one, each of these maps are locations where I lived. And in each of these black and white postcards, I have a number of holes punched into them. And so as you put them into the insets, into the corners, you can see specifically where I would sleep, drink, eat, or work at each of these locations. But you're able to take the postcards out and move them around. And then you can see in the different locations, the different colored dots will light up to let you know where in each of these postcards I did those things. I love taking kind of familiar things and then kind of abstracting them. And so I did this suite of prints. And these prints are all different cities that I've lived in over the span of my life. And although I've made them somewhat similar in size, all these images, they're different sized cities. And so I included the populations of the people at the time. So although the numbers and the kind of the size, the shape of each city doesn't really always match up. This is a print that I did for a print exchange. It was called Enough is Enough. It was in 2018. Alan Knutson and Lisa Breath Robinson were nice enough to include me in it. As we all know, there's plenty of mass shootings that are going on. So this was just my reaction to what was going on at the time. We have this map of the states. There's dots indicated the mass shootings that had happened in the US that year. And then a poem by N.S. St. Vincent Millay. I'm not always doing prints for myself. Sometimes I do broadsides for organizations and other people. These are a couple of broadsides that I did in the Midwest in Davenport for a local poetry organization. And this was a really lovely project to work on for Emory University for a speaker series they had. So I got to do this a poem of Nikki Giovanni's. And it went over quite well with her right here. So it's not always fun. Well, it's always fun, but it's not always. So I do lots of conservation, so lots of repair and restoration of books. I primarily work for individuals. So I do a variety of conservation treatments. Lots of rebinding and repairing of books. Sometimes I do some work for institutions as well. Sometimes new bindings or rebinding of materials. Sometimes specialty new bindings. I have to say I'm probably the premier conservator of copies of Gone with the Wind, only because Atlanta seems to have everyone's mother in Atlanta apparently had a copy, and we had plenty of Gone with the Wind to work on while we were in Atlanta. Lots of boxes and enclosures as well, of various sizes and formats, including some specialty ones. This was for a photographer where we took the a published book that he did and did a suite of prints in order to box them all up. And some fun boxes for some print exchanges. One of the things I've had a chance to do living in Atlanta is I've gotten connected up with the film and TV industry down there. And then I've done a number of specialty bindings for them. So often rebinding things to their specs, taking things and making them so that they can use them as movie props. I have to say it's really exciting to see your book on the big screen or on the small screen as it may be. This was for the HBO series Lovecraft Countries. And I have to say I really love seeing Emily Blunt hold on to one of my books in Jungle Cruise. I also do a lot of education as well. So I have done workshops all around and have moved into this online teaching. I have to say, I think I was a little bit ahead of the curve. I remember many friends in 2011 at the College Book Arts Association conference who looked at me strange when I said that I'd started teaching online. So I think I was just luckily ahead of the game and prepared. So everything from conservation to historic bindings to art projects. I've also done university teaching, some adjunct work at St. Ambrose University in Kennesaw State. I taught for the University of Illinois for many years, and that's what led me into some of my online teaching that I did. And that kind of prepared me. So when everything shut down, I was able to work with a few friends, Linda Marshall and Karen Hardy, and we started Book Paper Thread, and we're offering workshops. And some of you may remember the Form and Function from Afar conference that we went on, which was a lot of fun and gave us all something to do while we were stuck at home. Right now, I'm doing mostly workshops at my shop here in Atlanta or in Toronto now. Also doing some workshops for Cabbage, the Canadian Book Artists and Bookbinders Guild, and for the University of Toronto for their library program. I'm happy to say that I'm going to be doing some teaching, a workshop with San Francisco Center for the Book coming up soon. I've also had a chance to have plenty of volunteers and assistants. Here's a few of the interns who've worked with me. It's been great to be able to have someone kind of come on a regular basis and really kind of learn some of the techniques and work with things. The insisting on the far right is my son, and he hasn't been very helpful so far, but I still have high hopes that I'll actually get him to work one of these days. So, as Sarah said, I recently came from Atlanta here to Toronto, although the journey has been much longer. I started collecting printing equipment in Portland, Oregon, before I moved to Eugene, and then have made the trek across the country, first to Illinois, and then to Iowa, and then to Atlanta, and now to Scarborough. So this was my first shop. It was about 900 square feet in Davenport, Iowa. It got pretty full pretty quick. And after a couple of years, there was an opportunity, and so we moved to Atlanta. So that's the location in Atlanta that I, again, filled up my shop pretty quickly. And here we are in Scarborough. So Scarborough is on the east end of Toronto. And here's the shop. So you can, as you come in. And it's still a bit of a mess. But I'm still within my first couple of months, so I know it'll take a lot longer to get everything sorted out. And this is the letterpress area. So I've never taken an accurate weight of all this stuff, which is probably best for my back. Through my online teaching, I've put together a kind of a photo setup so that at my bench I'm able to teach online and film things as well as work in person. Some of the equipment that I've been moving around again and again are things like my 50-inch board share, which is really great for cutting materials. My guillotine. At this point, I have a couple of job backers. I'm able to do hot stamping for labels and books. I have both a quick print and a cancel that I recently got that I'm getting up and running. In the letterpress area, I have two non-Vandercook presses. I have an Asburn, which is a German model, and a Challenge, which is a US model, as well as a lot of type. With my conservation work, I really find it helpful to have kind of a photo doc area where I can document stuff before and after. If I have to set it up every time, it's less likely to happen. And then lots and lots of storage. So that was kind of a quick run through of who I am and what I do. I hope you can come see me at some point in the shop here in Toronto. And you can find me online as well. And I think I will stop it there.
Thank you, Andrew. That was amazing. Bridget has a rhetorical question, which is there anything book related that you haven't mastered? And I don't know if you can answer that.
Wow. Processes that I still need to practice on a regular basis.
She also had a question, which I'm nosy, so I had as well, which is, what are all the blue tape X's on the walls?
It's part of the moving process. So, of course, I need power at various locations, and I have a lot of heavy stuff to move. And I didn't want to lose those power access areas. And so I've just been too lazy to take those blue X's down. Enough people have asked that I kind of figure I should just leave them at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a conversation starter. Let's see, there's a question in the chat asking about what model of the challenge press do you have, and is it motorized?
It is motorized. It's 22 MP. I think that's what it is. So it's the wider, the larger,
The bigger one.
like an SP22 essentially.
Mm-hmm. As a conservator, Andrew, I'd love to hear your thoughts on tape. Not the blue tape on the walls, the other kind.
Well, I think the wall is fine. I don't think that the walls are archival or important. No, I'm not a fan of tape at all. You know, as every conservative is. You know, I know it can make me more money because it can make me spend a lot more time on projects, but I would prefer not to have to deal with it if I can. But a lot of people haven't listened to us in the past, so I have plenty of tape to take off things on a regular basis.
It keeps you in business. So I just thought I'd take the opportunity to once again put no tape out into the universe, please.
Yep.
There's a question about how you documented the stops on that, I believe is a Philly to Portland journey. Were you actually like just sitting in the car with a pen and paper writing down everyone, or did you cheat?
I did cheat. I became interested, and I started tracking it by pencil, but that didn't always work. So I had to go back in. And surprisingly, there are people who keep track of these things. So I was able to track down exactly what exits happened along Highway 80 across the US.
Wow, the internet can, wow, there's everything on there. Did you know, so you figured you had this idea partway through the trip. You didn't like go in.
Right.
You get in the car, pencil at the ready.
Yeah, because I didn't until we were kind of partway through the trip. It was like, oh, wasn't that the exit yesterday? And so, yeah.
Are we in a horrible Groundhog Day time loop?
Yeah.
Who's more likely to tell the other person to please comb your hair? I thought that was very interesting. That was one of the request cards. It was like, please do the dishes, please.
Oh, yeah, there were a number of kind of tongue-in-cheek. Yeah, it wasn't on the slide, but there was also one to call the parole officer. And so
nice.
Keep that in hand in case you really need it.
What were you doing in Bangkok?
My wife was teaching at a university in Bangkok. And so, yeah, so I got to go hang out and explore the city. And I was in charge of pantomiming with the security guards to get new water bottles in the apartment and to laundry down to the laundromat down the road. So, but in between, I got to work on some art projects.
Oh, nice. And that is a beautiful shear.
Thank you.
I've never seen one that big. Where did that? Do you know where that? Do you know its provenance? Do you know where it came from?
So when I started my business in Iowa, I didn't have a board shear. And so I thought I was going to get one that was like a 39-inch one in Ohio somewhere, and that just didn't work out in the end. But Brenna Campbell, who's now at Princeton as a conservator, she was at Iowa at the time, and she had bought a board shear and stuck it in her basement when she was living in New York, and then brought it to Iowa and decided that she really didn't need to have one just sitting in the basement. So I was able to get it at that point. It was disassembled, so it sat in the pile for many months until I finally got someone to help me figure out exactly how to put it together.
Wow, that's quite a beast for an accidental basement shear. Wow.
Yeah. So, but it's great to have that, you know, kind of really speeds up a lot of the work we get to do here.
Yeah, that's beautiful. All right, well, it looks like that's it for the questions, and we're right on time. So I will say thank you so much, Andrew, for taking the time and telling us all about your travels and the work you do. It was really fascinating. And so thank you everyone for coming. We do this every month. Next month's guest the event will be on June 1st. And we'll be talking with Max Stadnick and Saina Khan. They run Max's Garage Press and Tiny Splendor, sort of an artist's rezo print shop where artists can come and rent time. And they also have a publishing arm. So that'll be June 1st at 12:30. And you'll get a feedback email shortly, and there'll be a link to register if you're interested in joining us. So thanks so much for coming, and we hope to see you again. Thank you, Andrew.
No problem. Thanks.